As Jesus moves closer and closer to Jerusalem, he continues to be challenged by those in authority within his own community. But he continues to challenge them as well. He challenges them to rethink the traditions that they share and the law that they honor, and their very relationship with God and each other. In the passage that James read, Jesus is challenged because he's welcoming those who have been outside the circle. He's eating with tax collectors and sinners. And in response to the challenge, he tells them 3 stories. So James read the first 2 of the stories, and I'll read the third. So now listen to this reading from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 15, verses 11 through 32, and listen to what God is saying to you today through these words. Then Jesus said, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me.' So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens in that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare, but here I am dying of hunger? I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his fingers and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound.' Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him.' Then the father said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found.'" The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Let's see. Andrew, you want to come up? No. Andrew's in 7th grade, y'all. I didn't know this. I thought he was in 5th grade. Andrew doesn't want to come up. Okay. Missing out. I want to tell y'all 2 stories today. Actually, this is one story about 2 things that happened to me. I was lost. 2 different times, 2 summers in a row at 2 different summer camps where I was a counselor. The first summer camp I worked at was this beautiful little camp in northern Wisconsin, and there were trees, and it was called Camp Clearwater, and the lake was as clear as you could imagine. It was the most beautiful place. And every summer we would take some of the girls out off campus to a different wilderness area, and we would have a 3-night camp out with them with tents, and we would cook our own food. And Jennifer and I, my co-counselor, went and took these girls out in the little wilderness area, and we cooked our own food, and we had our supper, and the next morning we got up to hike to our next location, and we were just as lost as could be. We had no idea where we were. There was a swamp, and we were like walking through a swamp, and the trail, we don't know where the trail is, and we were climbing trees to kind of try to see some sign of something that would orient us. Eventually, we found our way back to a road where we were able to get help and get back to camp. And when we got the girls back to camp, our director came to us. The director's name was Sunny. She was very sunny. She came to us, and we expected to just be torn apart for getting these beautiful girls lost in this place. And all she did was embrace us and tell us how happy she was that we were okay. It was the most beautiful welcome, and it was the tone of that camp. The next year, I worked at a different camp. I probably should have stuck with that one. But this was a camp in the mountains of North Carolina, also very beautiful. It had a little running stream, and we would play in the stream, and it was nice. And again, we would take kids out of the regular campsite for overnight camps where we would, set up tents and cook our own food. And again, we got lost. So at this time, I'm thinking it's me. I don't know. We got lost, and we bushwhacked our way back to some place that we recognized and were able to get help and get back to the camp. But the welcome was different. The welcome was, kids, you go over here, and you 2 counselors come into my office. We weren't fired, which was lucky, but we were torn apart. This director was not happy that this had happened, that we had done this. The welcome was exactly the opposite of the welcome the year before. Can you see this? This is the first welcome, was how the Father welcomed his Son home. It was how God welcomes each of us. The second welcome was a person welcome. It was a person worried about her own camp and about the safety of these people. We had a God welcome and we had a human welcome, which wasn't so great. I want to read a story to y'all now. This will be the second story. That was one. This is a story called Who Counts? And this is a story, a children's book of the scriptures that we read. So I'm going to walk around. It's going to mess the whole camera thing up, but hopefully y'all will still hear me. So here's how the story starts. 100 sheep. See the sheep? Okay. 100 sheep. If just a single one were lost, who would notice? Who counted sheep anyway? The man did. The man had a lot of sheep, 100 of them. He counted them every day. He kept counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. It took time to count, a long time. One day, the man counted 10, 20, 30, 40, 90, 91, 92, 99. Then he stopped. There were only 99. He must have made a mistake. He had 100 sheep, not 99. He counted again. Still, there were only 99. One of his sheep was missing. He was responsible for all the sheep, all 100 of them. Immediately, the man went to look for his lost sheep. He walked and walked, but he saw nothing. He kept walking. He looked to the left, nothing. He looked to the right, nothing. He walked and he listened, still nothing. Then he heard it, a bleating sound. See it? See the sheep? There he is. He's lost. He ran toward the sound, and there she was, the lost sheep. Ooh, that didn't work. He had found her. She was too tired to follow him home, so he lifted her on his shoulders and carried her. He was so happy to have all his sheep together that he invited everyone to celebrate. Some people said, "What's so wonderful? It was only one sheep. You had 99 others." The man said, "One sheep makes a difference. Without her, something is missing. Now my flock is complete." 10 coins. 10 drachmas, 10 silver coins. Every day the woman would count them. Then one day she counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She stopped. She couldn't have made a mistake, but she counted again anyway. Still, she counted only 9. 1 drachma was missing. She had lost one of her coins. The woman lit a lamp to see more clearly. See, that's her lamp. It's a flashlight. She looked under chairs and in corners, no coin. She looked in cabinets and in wastebaskets, still no drachmas. She took a broom and swept the floor. There were crumbs and dust, but no coin. It was her fault. She had lost the coin, and now she must find it. She searched again with the light and the broom. Finally, she saw something shining and heard a ping. She looked down, and there it was, the missing coin. She held the coin in her hand for a few moments, and then she carefully placed it with the other drachmas. She was so happy to have all the coins that she invited the women in the town to celebrate. Some people said, "What is so important? It was only one coin." The woman smiled. "Just one coin matters. Without it, something is missing. Now my coin collection is complete." 2 sons. A father had 2 sons. Easier to count than 10, much easier than 100. One day, the younger son wanted half his father's money. It would be his eventually, but he could not wait. He was restless, and he wanted to travel. So the father divided his wealth in half and gave half to his younger son and half to his older son. The younger son went to a foreign land. There he had a great time doing whatever he wanted. But before long, he had spent all the money and had none left, not even enough to pay for food, and there was no one to share even a crumb of bread with him, as there was little food in the land. The son went to work for a farmer to try to earn enough to buy something to eat. The farmer told him to go and feed the pigs. Even the pods that the pigs were eating looked good. Finally, the son was so hungry and tired that he decided to return to his father. He wasn't sure what to say. How could he tell his father that he had spent all the money? His good pants were torn. His shirt was stained. I'm showing the home people. Good. His fancy shoes had holes. He thought, I will tell my father that I made a big mistake. I will say that I am sorry. I will offer to work hard to earn money. The young son returned home. His hair was uncombed, his face was dirty, and his hands were covered in blisters. His father ran to greet him. He was so happy to see him that he didn't care about anything else. Instead of making him earn money for clothing and food, he gave him a new coat, new shoes, and even a new ring. Then he invited everyone to his home to celebrate. The older son was still working in the field when he heard the happy sounds of singing and laughter and smelled sweet spices coming from his home. He wondered what was happening. He stopped one of the neighbors who was heading to his house and asked, "What's going on?" The neighbor was surprised by the question. "Don't you know that your father is making a big party for your brother to mark his return?" The older brother did not know. When the father counted everyone who had come to the party, he realized one person was missing. That person was his older son. He had forgotten to invite him. He ran out of his house to find his son. When the older son saw his father coming toward him, he turned away. He was sad and angry that no one had come to find him. His father spoke softly. "Your brother has come home. I invited all our friends to celebrate with us. You must come and be glad with us." He tried to hug his son, but his son folded his arms across his chest. The older son finally said to his father, "I've been with you all these years. When my brother has been away, I didn't waste your money. I did everything you wanted me to do. I never left you, but my brother did. Then you make a big party for him. You never had one for me. You didn't even invite me to his." The father thought, "I have 2 sons, 1, 2. I paid attention to my younger son, but I discounted my older son. I didn't realize that he felt lost." The father took his older son's hands in his own. "Please come and join the party. I love you. All I have is yours. Come and be with me and with your brother. I have 2 sons. He counted 1 and he pointed to the house where his younger son was celebrating. He counted 2 and he put his arm around his older son. "Without you," he said, "something is missing. With you, our family is complete." Now, there are lots of ways to be lost. We could be a lost sheep, one of 100 who simply didn't pay attention to where they were going. We could be a lost coin, one of 10, lost through no fault of our own, simply out of place. We could be a lost child, one of 2, who left the family to find something better, or maybe most painful of all, we could be a lost child, one of 2, who was lost in place, right here at home. Lost from joy, lost from connectedness, lost from the kindness of those who love me most. What I want you to think about today and tomorrow and in the weeks to come leading up to Easter is this, and this is your spiritual growth exercise for the week. Even though you're here at church, maybe every week, is there a way that you are lost? Because if you can acknowledge your lostness, you can know the grace and the jubilation of being found. Realize, remind yourself that you are so important to God, that this feast that we're sharing today is a party for you. This is your welcome home. You are worthy of celebration, no matter how you got lost, no matter how far you've wandered, no matter how cut off you feel from relationships with God and neighbors. You are beautiful. You are loved. You are valuable, and you are welcome. Remember also that this party is not just for us. It's for those whom we've cut off. It's for the ones we fear, the ones we scorn, the ones we deem worthless. As you dwell more and more in the love of God, you will be more and more able to welcome those people here to God's house. When your heart is overflowing with joy, as the man and the woman and the father's hearts were overflowing in the stories, you will come to realize more and more that there are no enemies. There is no one to fear. There is no one to scorn. There are only children of God who belong at the table. Thanks be to God. Amen.
We will sing a song for every season. We will sing a simple song of peace. Donna nobis, donna nobis pacem. Grant us peace, grant us peace. Music is a universal language, taking all our differences away. And when we sing together, singing, we are all the same. We're all the same. We will sing a song for every season. We will sing a simple song of peace. Donna nobis, donna nobis pacem. Grant us peace, grant us peace. We will sing, we will sing a song for every season. We will sing a simple song of peace.